All right, today is Saturday, May 2nd, around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Today I'm going to be starting the process of going through another one of my feature screenplays, but this one is only 77 pages. I was checking it out a little bit earlier, and the reason it's kind of short, but I consider it a feature, it's not 100 pages like a normal feature will be. It's because there's a lot of music in this, and whether it's like a short minute, 2 minute performance or a longer musical type of transition or something, it's hard to really write that out. So I figured this would still be a long enough type of experience because of the music involved. And I did write about 5 or 6 original songs for this, and I'm still not sure how I'm going to handle that. If I'm going to read the lyrics or sing the song, just kind of to give you an idea of what the songs are like. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet with that. The reason I'm doing this one today, I decided to do all my features first and then do my original series in order from episode 1 to episode 12 for the Madman's Daily Unequivocal Comedy. So I figured I would do it in order just because that's how it would be. I might as well do it like that. If these were made into real, you know, cinematic experiences, it would be in order. So I figured I would do it like that to kind of mimic it. And yeah, so far I think this has been a good exercise for me. It's giving me practice in reading stuff aloud and also showing how I improved some of my writing from the Seeds of Anarchy from 2020 until some of these other ones. I wrote this one probably around 2022. And yeah, originally this one and Elegant Eccentrics were supposed to just be 60-page, hour-long episodes. And this is kind of a hybrid script. It could be for my series or it could be a feature, but I still consider it more on the feature side because of the music and everything else. But it's a psychological horror, so it fits my series as well. The Madman's Daily Unequivocal Comedy, it's set up to be like Black Mirror or The Twilight Zone. It could be about technology, it could be just horror stories, weird mystical shit. It could be a little bit of science fiction in there. Just kind of a darker look at some of human innovation that has pros and cons. I was just listening to a podcast with Duncan Trussell, and they were talking about that. How with every human innovation, the industrial revolution he was talking about, there's good and bad. If we could go back and look at how workers had to do it in the industrial revolution in factories like that, child labor and just random poisonous shit everywhere and all kinds of hazardous conditions. Yeah, human innovation brings about convenience, but it could also bring about dehumanization as less value is placed on workers. Human beings are just looked at as means to a profit. So, yeah, a lot of that is involved not only in this story, but throughout my series. Um, it is that Black Mirror type of experience that I just really like. It's dark, but hey, reality is dark. You might as well look at the darkness and try to make it better, and rather than just ignoring it. So that's kind of where I'm going with this script. It does get kind of dark. There's some suicidal stuff. There's some demonic stuff. There's some witchcraft. A couple of my favorite horror movies, real quick. I love Rosemary's Baby. That one just freaks me out every time. Just it makes me feel claustrophobic. Just a bunch of fucking witches living in a hotel. I don't know if that's Greenwich Village. Was Rosemary's Baby based in Greenwich Village? I'm not sure about that. I'm not gonna look it up. I waste too much time looking stuff up on Google. Alright, never mind. I'm gonna look it up. The reason I like Rosemary's Baby, I don't know. The first time I watched it, I didn't know what to expect. And it just freaked me out. That the whole thing about giving birth to the Antichrist and stuff. It's just a great movie. Great director. I know he had some shit, but he's a good movie maker. You gotta give him that. And yeah, the acting's great. It's just a fucked up story, man. Um, I think it wasn't it based in New York City? I gotta look it up just to assuage my curiosity. I have a feeling it is. Alright, not Greenwich Village. Rosemary's Baby was set in Manhattan's Upper West Side, specifically at the fictional Bramford apartment building, which was filmed at the real life landmark, the Dakota, 1 West 72nd Street. While the story takes place in 1960s New York, the same as my script that I'm going to read today, the exterior and courtyard shots, blah blah blah, are known for its Gothic turreted architecture. Alright, yeah, so that's pretty cool. That's probably a good comparison to a movie like this. I do involve witchcraft. I do involve that type of a horror element. That's also kind of a psychological horror. So Rosemary's Baby might be a good way to put you in the mood for a movie like this, or for a script like this, and I'm about to read. I'm gonna do my best to kind of, I don't know, go through this maybe slower and analyze some of the scenes as I go. I started doing that yesterday with Seeds of Anarchy. As I was going through that, I would pause after certain scenes, and like I'm doing a DVD filmmaker commentary on these scripts. So I think it's better like that, so I can get my thoughts out in the moment. But I'll try not to extend this, for 5-6 hours. I'll try to keep these pretty short. And yeah, I really do like this story. There are maybe some higher production costs because it would involve looking like 1960s Greenwich Village during that whole folk scene, Bob Dylan stuff, almost like they did in Inside Llewyn Davis and other movies like that. I don't know, I think that's a cool time period. When I was researching to write this, I was watching a lot of videos on YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. It's like a free library at your fingertips. It's so useful to get a sense of what New York City was in Greenwich Village during that time period, mid 60s, later 60s, into the 70s. I don't really go too far into the 70s in this. It's basically maybe mid 60s New York. So I mentioned, yeah, maybe the production costs would be a little bit more, not too crazy, but you have to set the story in a different time period, like Mad Men did it, or Marvelous Miss Maisel. I love that show too. I don't think I mentioned that show, but I've rewatched that one a couple times. It's just such a good, cool experience to go back in time to that era. That might have been part of Greenwich Village. I'm not sure. The comedy clubs and stuff with Lenny Bruce. There had to be some kind of connection to Greenwich Village, New York in the 60s. And yeah, I really like that time period a lot. Maybe it's just the way it's filmed. It just takes you to a different era because of the way people dressed and talked, and it's just weird, man. Miss Maisel, Greenwich Village. Let's see if that brings up anything. And I watched some other movies. I think there's a movie called like Greenwich Village or something, and it kind of showed life. Yeah, okay. Marvelous Miss Maisel features 1950s Greenwich Village, McDougal Street, Gaslight Cafe. All right, I've heard of all those things before. I read a book called Mayor of McDougal Street about a folk singer. I forget his name. Pretty famous guy. I can't think of his name right now. The Mayor of McDougal Street. So I've always kind of been interested in this. It's a cool Washington Square Park. Yeah, I've heard of that. Capturing, yeah, it's like the bohemian flavor of New York City. There was the beats and all that scene, and then the punk movement was probably around there. It always seemed to be a hub for outsiders, and I don't want to say hipsters. I don't know what hipsters really means anymore. I don't know what these terms really mean in terms of young people, what they're doing today. I got no fucking idea. Like, I'm not just saying that to be glib. Like, I really have no idea. Like, what outsider art people do now. What are they termed? Like, I don't know what the hipster term really means in terms of an artistic space. I don't know. If you go to Greenwich Village now, or I don't know, maybe it's not even a hub anymore for art. I have no idea. I'm very sheltered existence. But when I was researching this before I wrote this script and outlined the characters, I was watching a lot of stuff about 1960s Greenwich Village. There's something on YouTube like Saturday in the Park or something like that. I think I linked all these things before when I first shared this screenplay a couple years ago. And it's just cool, man. It's a cool time machine to that era. There was still crazy racism going on, people getting shot, assassinations. There were still wars, probably, I guess Vietnam. There were still hippies and the folk movement in certain areas. There was soul music, and disco didn't come yet, so that was good. And yeah, I thought it was, if I'm gonna make a horror movie like this, write a story. Basically, now I'll get into the plot. It follows this folk singer as she moves from the South to Greenwich Village to kind of pursue a music career. Again, when I first thought of this idea, it was completely flipped. It was a male. No, what was it? I forget now. It was so long ago. I'm going back 4 or 5 years now. When I first thought of this idea, I think it was a male singer, a male folk singer, and the agent, who was kind of a nefarious character, was also male. And when I first started writing this, something clicked in my head. I started thinking of Nicole Kidman and other people that would fit the role so well. And I turned it all around. I made it all female cast. Like, the folk singer morphed from a man to a woman when I was writing this. Early on, like, I didn't like have to really edit anything. I just early on made that decision. It would be a female lead, the young woman from the South. I'm thinking like a West Virginia accent or something like that. She's moving to Greenwich Village in the mid 60s to be a part of the folk movement and try to become a successful singer-songwriter or whatever. Maybe it's a bit before singer-songwriters existed, but she wanted to be a part of the folk scene, so she's like, let me move to Greenwich Village with nothing and see what happens. And yeah, and also the music industry is also like a character in this. I'm not trying to shit on the entertainment industry. I'm really not. I don't know anything about it. I hear, what I think it might be like based on perception, and that's my bias, my own discriminatory bias, I guess. I just think the entertainment industry is kind of like, it's so power hungry and ego, and just ego hungry. What other word can I use there? Ego obsessed, and just so concerned with maintaining superiority over the other competition, whether for radio play or streams or whatever the fuck else, record sales. I feel like there's such a cold environment where the art is secondary, or maybe not even secondary. It's money, it's image, reputation, it's publicity, marketing, and then somewhere down that list, maybe like 6 or 7, is the art good? Is the music actually good? It's not just about how much of a demographic darling do we have here. Can we sell this person? Can we sell this image? Can we sell this sound to multiple different audiences? So it gets real weird. These are the thoughts I have in my head, my preconceived notions about the entertainment industry, maybe the music industry in general. But also, yeah, everything seems to be expanding and evolving. I'm sure things aren't like they were 40 years ago, 20 years ago. Things just change so rapidly. Ever since, digital streaming took over, no more brick and mortar Sam Goody, Tower Records. I don't know if there really are anymore. Is there? I haven't been to any in probably more than a decade. I can't remember. I haven't been to a movie theater in over a decade. I haven't been to like a music store to buy a record. Well, that's a lie. I've been to record stores, yeah. I've been to record stores, and the town I used to live in had like 3 record stores. When I was into vinyl, yeah, I would check out vinyl record stores, but I'm talking about those major chains like Tower Records, Sam Goody, with the Wall. Remember that place? I think it was just called the Wall. Maybe I'm from southern New Jersey. It was in the Cherry Hill Mall. There was a Sam Goody in there. There was the Wall, and there was Tower Records nearby on a separate location. And there was a Sam Ash Guitar Center. A lot of music places. And I'm sure a lot of shopping centers have similar, type of, maybe not now, but in the 90s at least. But Tower Records was the place. That's the place I could just spend hours in there dicking around, listening to music, CDs and stuff. I don't know if that exists anymore too much. I don't know what kids do today. They just get everything on their phone, and it's much easier. You can consume just a ton of information. In a couple hours, you can listen to 40 records and just see what you like, see what you want to explore next. So yeah, everything changes. I don't want to get too hung up on the entertainment industry to make me sound like I'm some sour, frustrated artist that can't make it, because I'm trying to go DIY anyway. I'm not really trying to do the agent thing and become a mass kind of artist that has mass appeal. Like, I'm not saying I wouldn't enjoy that. Of course, I want to make money. I want to make a lot of money to continue this journey that I'm on. But that's not the main thing. Like, to me, it's survival. I just want to be able to survive doing what I do. I'm not trying to be a fucking rich person. I don't want to be that person. To me, yeah, I'm too old to change who I am. I just want to live a minimalist existence and just take care of my bare necessities and live on my own terms like that. That's what I want through my art, through any career that I'm going to go down in the future. So again, I'm not exactly the mirror of the protagonist in this. Maybe there's a part of me in this because she is a young woman from the South in her 20s going to New York in the 60s to become a folk singer and try to grow a music career. It's similar to what I want to do, but I'm not a performer, so there you go. It's completely not going to line up exactly. I don't know if I could ever be a performer. Could I actually perform at coffee houses or open mic nights? I did it one time like 15 years ago, it's not something that interests me enough because I'm more concerned with getting all my music recorded before I die. And it's a lot of shit. I got like a lot of albums to get down on digital paper. So, digital tape. So, yeah, there might be some similarities between the themes of this story and my own longing for a career in the entertainment business through screenwriting like this, or music, or visual arts. But yeah, like I get it. Everyone wants that in life. Everyone wants to be first base for the Philadelphia Phillies, or, you know, middle linebacker for the Eagles, left wing for the Flyers. When you're a kid, you have these dreams, and there's only one person that could be that. It's a little bit different when it comes to music. If you dedicate your life to an art form and you practice enough hours, I feel like you do have you most likely would have something to add to the artistic ether. So that's where I'm at. I don't know if I could perform. A lot of my songs are kind of weird and are not really like acoustic based, but I do have a good number that are. So it's a weird type of thing. But all right, let me start reading this story. I think I'm gonna be just going on random tangents too much now. Yesterday was good. Seeds of Anarchy made me really find a sense of humor through some of the things I was talking about. And I went all over the place yesterday talking about stuff. I do enjoy horror movies. Before I start the story, yeah, I'm a fan of horror movies. Maybe that movie Midsummer kind of fucked me up too much. There's a movie with Florence Pugh, Ari Aster, is that his name? Apologies. Midsummer movie a couple years ago, and it fucked me up, man. It's a fucked up movie with like these American students. They go to Sweden, and it's not a cult, but it kind of is. It's more like a pagan religious thing, and this community in Sweden, I believe it was. Yeah. 2019 by Ari Aster. Yeah. So it's Florence Pugh was the main May Queen. And it's a fucked up movie, man. Very gory. There's a lot of crazy violence, but it's one of the best horror movies I've seen. It really fucked me up psychologically. I probably have to watch it again. I only watched it once and it just fucked me up, dude. There's a lot of religious and occult symbolism. Right in the beginning of the movie, they show like a ritual suicide where these two people jump from a rock when you reach a certain age and you're no longer deemed necessary. Whatever the fucking belief system is, when you reach like your 70s or whatever, you just do a ritual suicide. And there might be some connections to reincarnation there too. But if you've never seen Midsummer, go watch it. Warning that it is very psychologically fucked if you're not prepared for it like I was. I wasn't prepared to watch that movie at all. And I'm not criticizing it. I think it's a brilliant movie. The way he filmed it and the directing and the visuals are just striking. Absolutely striking, man. Really fucked up movie, though. I know Ari Aster's done a couple, but I'm not sure about his other ones. I've never watched them. So I am a fan of horror movies. It's just that I haven't really kept up with it. I'm more of when I was a kid, when Child's Play came out in the 90s. You look at those movies now, they're so fucking stupid. But maybe those demonic type of movies are more compelling to me, like the Denzel Washington one. Time is on your side. Yes, it is. Denzel Washington, what was it called? Fallen? Yeah, with John Goodman's in it too, in 1998. That's one of my favorites. Fallen, where he starts seeing demons in the street. Fucked up movie. Time is on my side. I always remember that. Really cool, man. I like that movie a lot. Jacob's Ladder, definitely. Hopefully, you notice some similarities. Maybe those are the two most striking that led my path on this story. Jacob's Ladder with what's his name, Tim Robbins, right? The Vietnam vets that I don't want to ruin the movie for people, but it's another just psychological type of psychedelic masterpiece. It's real fucked up. I saw a part of that movie when I was a kid, at, like my cousin's house. I just remember a scene where they're dancing, and this one woman is dancing with Tim Robbins, and then her body morphs into like this demonic tail. Like she had this tail that was like a demon tail. And man, it just freaked me out, fucked me up for like like nights. It just fucked me up. There was another movie called The House or something. I remember it being a kid and oh my god, it just freaked me the fuck out. I think it's just called The House. If people can remember back then, The House horror movie. It's a cool name for a movie, actually. No, maybe it's not. Okay, yeah, The House, 1985 horror comedy. I don't remember it being a comedy. I just remember it scaring the shit out of me. It's about a Vietnam veteran too, as well. Yeah, it's a fucking crazy movie. I don't know. I just remember a couple of those scenes, and when you're a kid, it's really just the visuals that get you. It's not the stories about demons and stuff because as a kid, I'm going to Catholic school. You're learning that stuff anyway. They're teaching you about the devil and demons and all this crazy, the seven deadly sins and all this shit. So that's already in your brain if you go to a religious upbringing like that. But I think, yeah, when you watch certain horror movies as a kid, especially, like it's the visuals that just stick in your head. You see something that just stays in your mind, and yeah, it just freaks you out like that. So I do really do. I'm a fan of horror movies. I didn't even mention John Carpenter, but Halloween's definitely my favorite. But I wouldn't really compare this story to Halloween. I have another horror story that I wrote called Jailbreak, and that's more in tune with that type of experience. Yeah, I hope I put you in the mood for this now. Now that I talked for a half an hour, I'm gonna start reading this. Maybe I'll do this in three parts since it's only 77 pages. It's called Everything is Free. The last thing I'll mention, it's based on the Gillian Welch song. Go listen to it if you never heard it. It's really good. She wrote it back in 2000, or I don't know when she wrote it, but it's on the Revelator album. And it's very relevant to today when people talk about streaming and not paying artists enough and how hard it is to be a musician and any type of artist, really. All right, we're going to start this story now. We're fading in to New York City, a large outdoor square during the day, as bright sunlight shines down on a 1960s model bus as it parks by a street corner. Shannon, 20, country girl, innocent but confident, steps out of the bus with the other passengers, carrying a guitar case and a small tote bag over her shoulder. She stares in awe at the bustling area around her, full of young buskers and artists. Then she walks by a Manic Street preacher who stands atop a small podium with a small crowd around him. Manic Street preacher. When that day of reckoning comes, you will have only your soul to grasp onto. She watches as he reads from a book. Manic Street preacher. Approach the brink serenely and accept the risk of melting into nothingness. That's a quote from Faust. Or Faust. I'm not sure. How do you say that? Faust. He notices Shannon's innocent smile and stands by her. Manic Street preacher. Creepy whispers. Do not allow your eyes to be blinded by these bright city lights. Shannon smiles and walks away. Shannon. I'm not going to try to duplicate a southern accent, but I picture this character with, for some reason, I had a West Virginia accent in my head. I think I was listening to someone back then who had a similar voice, but it could be any southern accent. If you want to picture that in your head, the character of Shannon, she's from the South. Shannon smiles and walks away. Shannon. I'll be sure to take that into consideration. He walks back to the podium as more pedestrians walk by. Manic Street Preacher. For there is only one true light, one true source, within and around us all. Do not stare into that aphotic abyss and misidentified hope. We now drift high above the bustling square, full of live music, artists, and all types of 1960s outcast. So this is setting the scene. I would put a super here, Greenwich Village, 1969. I'm not sure if that's exactly the year I want to set this in, but it's probably around that. I feel like that's a good... The reason I put 1969, I think it's because the folk scene was probably starting to go down a little bit. It wasn't maybe as popular as it started, as disco's coming, soul's coming, different types of music, singer-songwriter. Maybe it's got some roots in folk, but that's why I made it more the late 60s. Alright, continuing. Shannon eagerly explores her new surroundings as some young beatniks walk by. Beatnik 1, male, 20s, hands her a pamphlet titled How to Secure Our Anarchist Utopia. Beatnik 1. Looks like you arrived just in time. He smiles towards her while leaping on two of his friend's shoulders. Beatnik 1 playfully. The revolution is upon us. Shannon smiles back curiously as they walk away, flips through the pamphlet, then tosses it into a garbage can. Now we're a little bit later down another city street, that same time, or moments later, as Shannon walks through a painter's district where art lovers view paintings hanging from a large fence. She watches a young artist paint a demonic figure onto a canvas, then walks by a "No More War" sign where two young female protesters hand out "War is over" buttons, dressed in militant clothing. Young female protester 1 hands her a button. Young female protester 1. Are you ready? Shannon. Ready for what exactly? Young woman protester 2. If you want to change the system, you must be willing to fight for it, die for it, kill for it. Shannon stares towards her with some trepidation. Shannon. Bit of false advertising, don't you think? The woman doesn't quite appreciate the comment and angrily snatches the "War is over" button back as Shannon walks off smiling. Now we're moving to another part of this area of Greenwich Village near a fountain. Shannon, guitar case in hand, a little bit later in the day. Shannon, guitar case in hand, watches a trio of sweaty folk musicians perform a song, with a fairly large crowd of folkies around her. This is where I would put my original song, number 1, What the Devil Can't Buy. It's a very folky song with that type of sentiment from the 60s. A part of this band, that's what I mean. This could be like a 1 to 2 minute scene here of just them playing the song. Probably more like a minute. So it would add to the runtime for this. This band, the lead singer is named David. He's in his 30s. He plays rhythm guitar, and he's kind of the elder statesman. Neil is in his 20s. He's fully bearded. He's the harmony singer and plays lead guitar. And maybe other stuff too. He could play mandolin or other folk instruments, upright bass. You could kind of go improvise stuff by song, really. And the other trio member is Rose. She is in her 20s as well. She's a fiddle player and also sings harmonies with the other two guys. David, the lead singer, notices Shannon immediately during the performance and can't avert his gaze as she smiles towards him. The short performance finishes with a nice 3-part harmony as the crowd cheers and tosses change into an open guitar case. Neil counts the change as Shannon walks towards the fountain. Neil: afternoon drinks, paid in full. Rose packs up her instrument as David stares towards Shannon, lost in a daze. Rose: followed by a nice siesta. She and Neil walk away. Neil to David: you coming? David stands by the fountain, distracted by Shannon's approach. David: what? Oh yeah, sure, I'll meet up with you guys. Neil and Rose walk away as Shannon smiles towards David and tosses some change into the fountain. David: so, what you wish for? Shannon: a recording deal and a nice cold beer. They share a smile as he grabs a penny from his guitar case and tosses it into the fountain. Shannon: what did you wish for? David: nothing. He closes up his guitar case. David: never believed in all that garbage. He lights a smoke and smiles at her. David: but if I did believe in all that garbage, I would wish that this rather intriguing woman I met at this very fountain today would allow me to buy her a beer. Shannon: all this intrigue doesn't come cheap. You should have offered more than a penny. He grabs some more change from his guitar case and tosses it all into the fountain. Shannon: maybe just a little more. He digs out some change from his pockets and dumps it into the fountain. Shannon: I guess that should about cover it. He walks towards her, then pauses and feels his pockets. David: hold up a sec. Flips his shoes off, steps inside the fountain, and grabs some of the change that he just dumped. David: need to make sure I can at least buy a few rounds. They walk off together. Alright, so that's how they meet. Two lovebirds in New York, Greenwich Village. Now it's a little bit later in the day at Leonardo's Cafe. It's a bar and it's packed with young beatniks and folkies who drink, read poetry books, smoke, and try to look as cool and trendy as possible. Shannon, her guitar case by her side, sits at a booth with David, Neil, and Rose as Leo, 50s, fully bearded, owner, bartender, sometimes waiter, brings over a round of beers. Leo: here we go, 4 ice-cold brews, hopefully not entirely skunked yet. He passes them out, bows in good humor, and eyes Shannon. Leo: who's the fresh face? Shannon: Shannon. Leo grabs and kisses her hand. Leo: amore mio. Shannon smiles towards the others as he walks away, while David follows after him. David: hey, Leo, hold up. Leo. Leo already knows what he's about to ask and walks faster. Leo: yeah, David, I know. You'll get paid when I get paid. David: what the hell does that even mean? David sits back down, frustrated, as Shannon eyes him. Shannon: lovers quarrel? David: Leo doesn't exactly believe it's that important to pay the artists who play here, including the house band. Neil: can't even get free drinks anymore. Gotta be some kind of labor law against that. He drinks his beer. Neil: this shit really is spoiled. chugs the rest of it regardless. Shannon, what's your band name? He slams his mug onto the table and eyes her proudly. Neil, the New York City Farm Plows. She laughs out loud, spitting out some of the beer. Shannon, you must be joking. That's about the worst name. Neil doesn't quite appreciate the laughter. Shannon, I mean, it's a good name, really, really. They share some awkward silence, then break out into laughter. Neil, it shows people we are legit rural. Rose rises anxiously, chugs her beer, and grabs Neil from his chair. Rose, come blow smoke in my face. Neil, again? She rolls her eyes as to say, let's frickin' go here. Neil, all right, all right. They walk away as Shannon eyes David, confused. David, she's trying to quit smoking. Breathing in someone else's smoke is somehow perfectly acceptable in her scattered brain. Shannon smiles and drinks her beer. David, so what's your story? And don't tell me it's just another country girl escapes to the city to pursue her musical dreams type of fairy tale. Shannon, guess I don't really have a story to tell then. She drinks more of her beer while he grabs her guitar case and takes out her intricately detailed acoustic guitar. David, quite the piece. I can smell that fresh country air in the redwood. He fingerpicks a short folk melody, then hands the guitar to her. She fingerpicks a similar melody, but her skills blow him out of the water as she hums along like an angel. Eyes shut like the entire world stopped around her. He stares in awe towards her, then tries to play it cool as she opens up her eyes. David, you got some talent there. With some practice, you could maybe even get in on some open mic nights around here. Just make sure you run in the right circles. Neil and Rose walk back to the table with 4 shots of whiskey, sit down and pass out the shots. Shannon, and what circles would those be exactly? David, circles that don't try to drain the life out of you, generally speaking. He takes his shot down. David, especially from an honest country girl like yourself. She takes her shot. Shannon, I'm not that honest, generally speaking. Rose smacks Neil on the chest after they take their shots. Neil, already? She rolls her eyes at him again as he sighs and lights up a cig, then blows smoke in her face. Neil, happy? Rose, no, it's better in the fresh air. She drags him away towards the front door as David and Shannon watch and laugh. We are going to move from this little introduction of these characters to a small apartment, real dungy. That night, it's now nighttime. The small apartment space appears more like an artist commune than an apartment, with barely any furniture, and 1960s folk music plays from a record player on the beat-up hardwood floor. Neil and Rose smoke and mingle with other beatniks and folkies as David and Shannon strum their guitars seated on a tattered couch. They harmonize their voices and perform a folk song, quickly realizing that their voices are perfect complements. I was thinking you would use Phil Oaks, I forget how to say his name. Hills of West Virginia. Phil Oaks, I forget how to say his name now. Alright, anyway, David and Shannon finished their short performance with a nice long vocal harmony. So again, like I said, that would probably take close to a minute watching them sing and get used to their voices as they kind of form a closer relationship connection like that. Not just romantic, but musically, which kind of are the same thing. So David and Shannon finished that performance with a nice long vocal harmony and stare into each other's eyes. Neil notices their instant love connection and throws his hands up in frustration. Neil: well, we all know where this is headed. He chugs the rest of his beer. Neil: sure was fun while it lasted. He tosses the bottle against the wall, then storms out. As Shannon eyes David. Shannon: what was that all about? David: that's just Neil being Neil. He believes the Farm Plows should be playing sold-out concerts at every venue in the country. Shannon: well, why aren't you now? David: maybe it's our image. We look a little too much like a folk band to be a commercially viable folk band. They share a smile, then tune their guitars together while humming perfect harmonies to the notes. There's probably some Gillian Welch, David Rawlings influence on this. I feel like that's one of my favorite parts of watching them live. I used to go watch them maybe once a year down south, or one time in Indiana, one time in Philadelphia. So yeah, I've probably seen them live 5 or 6 times. And one of my favorite things is before they actually play a song, they kind of harmonize their voices to tune their guitars almost. I don't know, I just love it when they do stuff like that. Before they sing a song, they get their voices like warmed up together, like they'll hum something as they're strumming very lightly, and then they'll go into the song. And it's just really cool. I love how they do it, the atmosphere that they create. So that's probably why I put stuff in there like that back then when I wrote this. I feel like it's a nod to that type of folk music, and I don't think anyone does it better today than Gillian Welch and David Rawlings. Like, the title of this movie is from a Gillian Welch song, so there's a lot of that in this as well. All right. Now we're later that night in the apartment bedroom. I guess it's David's bedroom. Or it could be anything, really, based on whatever location is selected. David and Shannon make out passionately, rolling around on an old mattress on the floor, covered with coats, clothing, and books. She awkwardly jumps on top of him, sending them sliding off the mattress as they roll around the floor laughing. So it's just a quick scene to show them being intimate, having that instant chemistry like that. Now, later in the night, we're outside the apartment as David and Shannon lounge on the front steps, enjoying some silence under the pitch black sky. Shannon: ever record anything? David: had a single a few years back, a deal on paper with a full length, but it didn't quite turn out the way I hoped. He lays his head down on her lap. David: sometimes contracts are made to be broken, I guess. What they don't tell you is that you will end up in that same position. He rises and stretches out his arms. David: I was young and fresh-faced once myself, believe it or not. Sits back down next to her. David: now I'm just a broke-ass folk singer with the scene on its last legs. She playfully pushes him away. Shannon: hey, it's my first night in New York City. Please don't ruin all of this magic for me quite just yet. They kiss, then stare up at the pitch black sky. Shannon, you never really get to see the stars in the city, do you? Neil drunkenly stumbles towards them from down the street, carrying a bottle of whiskey. Neil, slurring. Hey, sorry for earlier. His eyes start tearing up. Neil, I just don't know what I'd do without the band. The farm plows are my entire life, man. Shannon hugs him like a mother to an upset child. Shannon, I swear I will never do anything to bring harm to you or any of your fellow farm plows. He walks towards the door, wiping tears away, and stumbles inside, while David grabs Shannon close towards him and kisses her cheek. David, you know, you really are about the best picker I've ever seen. Besides myself, that is. She cuddles closer to him. Shannon, playfully. Pretty sure I'm better than you. Alright, as I was reading this, I was like, maybe I should put another scene, or even flip those around, maybe. I think what I'm going to end up doing is flip those, actually. I'm actually editing this as I go right now. I think I'm going to make that change where, so after they perform and they tune their guitars together while humming, then you go to the outside apartment where they're doing that. Then you go to the bedroom where they're having their late night makeout session. I think I'm going to change those two scenes up because it makes more sense like that. They had their flirting, they had their little kissy, and now you end that scene with the bedroom where they're passionately making out on the floor mattress. From that scene, then you go to the next morning in the apartment, in the communal bathroom. So I'm not really sure what you want to look for when you find an apartment like this, some kind of studio maybe, that kind of fits that artistic type of feel. I don't know what it was like in the 60s in Greenwich Village, so I'm kind of blind to this. I just wrote Seeds of Anarchy. I just read that screenplay yesterday, and it was kind of similar, but it was more of a punk commune. This is more of how folkies would have lived in 69 in New York City, Greenwich Village. Alright, so now Shannon is washing her hands in a filthy sink as loud male snoring echoes from the inside of one of the stalls. She slowly cracks open the stall and finds Neil passed out on the toilet, a needle in his arm, vomit all over himself, and a bottle of whiskey by the toilet. So he's all kinds of fucked up. He's an interesting character. If you didn't understand, yeah, Neil thought his whole life is just trying to make the band big. That's his motivation in this story, I guess. When he saw David and Shannon kind of connecting, he's like, oh, this is going to break up the band. So that's why he freaked out. But he's probably just one of those quick to freak out type of personalities. That would be what I would tell the actor if I was a director. I'd be like, this is your type of personality, kind of manic. He can't control his emotions. He'll just think the worst thing is going to happen. Shannon came around. He's going to steal David away and break up the band. Maybe that's happened before. Maybe, I don't know. He's got other things on his mind. Alright, so Shannon finds him in the bathroom stall, puking all over himself, passed out. Or not puking, maybe he's got vomit on him, but he's just a needle in his arm. Yeah, vomit all over himself, bottle of whiskey by him, by the toilet. So, moments later in the bathroom, Shannon is dunking Neil's head into a sink full of water, holding him under for a few seconds, then lifting his head up as he coughs and spits out water. Neil, do it again. She hesitates, then gazes down towards his puppy dog eyes. Neil, please. She concedes and dunks his head back into the water. So he just wants to feel something, I guess. He's kind of like, he's begging her just to almost baptize him in a way. He wants to just forget about the night, forget about his bullshit. And that's what he's kind of begging her to dunk his head in the sink full of water. Maybe it's like freezing cold water or something. And almost like, this reminded me of the show Task, which I talked shit about that show Task, but throughout that show, Mark Ruffalo's character, he's kind of a drunk. He would wake up and just dunk his head in ice cubes or cold water. That's kind of his routine after he would wake up hungover, I guess. Maybe that's a similar thing that drug addicts do. Just to feel something, feel clean. Alright, so now we are outside the apartment as Neil, he's all cleaned up now. And he's walking away from Shannon on the sidewalk. Shannon, you gonna be okay? He turns back towards her. Neil, me? Yeah. Ran into some old friends last night. Old habits. But I can stop whenever. She forces a smile, not really convinced. Neil, thanks for your help, really. I owe you one. She watches him walk farther away. Alright, now, moments later, Shannon is walking inside the kitchen of that apartment as David makes coffee over the stove. David. Hey. Thought you'd have run off by now. Guess we didn't scare you off just yet. Shannon. Country girls don't scare so easy. He pours fresh coffee into 2 mugs and hands one to her. David. You can stay here for as long as you need to get situated. She sips the coffee. Shannon. I'll start looking for a job today. He laughs to himself. David. Guess you're not a real artist after all. He walks out the front door, sipping his coffee between laughing. David. Looking for a job. Shannon gazes out the window towards her new frontier of skyscrapers and high-rises as cars honk and New Yorkers curse at each other. She takes her guitar out of her case and fingerpicks a nice country melody, humming along to the notes. So this could be a kind of a longer scene, maybe another 30-40 seconds of just watching Shannon fingerpick her acoustic while the noises of the busy early morning city is like the background to her music. She's like composing her first New York City song with the atmosphere of the city all around her. So that's what I'm saying. You could really extend a lot of these. I didn't know how to really write that. Like, what do I write there? This goes on for 42 seconds as Shannon plays her guitar, finger picking as the sounds of the city accompany her. Like, yeah, that's why I feel like this script would be 100 pages at least with all the music stuff. It would add at least another 30 pages maybe, or 20 at least. All right. It's not just me being lazy. It really isn't, because most of the time I write like 130 pages and then I have to delete stuff. So I've kind of become more of a minimalist in anything, songwriting, lyrics, and screenwriting, and even my visual arts. I kind of just want to get it done and put it away and start something else. So I'm kind of a minimalist and somebody who just wants to get it done, whatever I'm working on. I want to get it done as efficiently as possible. Go with the flow. It's not being lazy, it's just I don't want to, because I feel like that's an ego thing. If people spend a year writing a screenplay like this, and I get it, maybe people have kids, they have other responsibilities, so they don't have the time like I do. But sometimes it could become an ego thing, like, oh, this is going to be the greatest story ever written. and you just spend way, way more time than you need to before you start working with other people who give you that collaborative type of advice that you need. And I definitely need that. All right, where are we now? I'll keep going here. I spoke in the beginning for like a half an hour, so I'm already at an hour. But I'll read a couple more scenes here. I'm only on page 13. All right, we're going to move a month later now. It's kind of a rapid type of time experience now, but we followed Shannon from her as she stepped off the bus. That same night, she's making love with a stranger, folky dude. So she's got the bohemian spirit as well. It's not just a male thing. She's a free spirit. She came to New York to claim her piece of the artistic pie or whatever. She wants to be successful. I don't think that's why she's not like using David like in that way. I think she really did feel a chemistry with him. So in that first day and night, she's already found someone to live with. It's kind of an interesting story. But now we just fast forward to a month later. So whatever happened in that month, she was immersing herself in Greenwich Village. Do you really need to put stuff in there? I don't think so. I guess I could be convinced otherwise if you want to put other scenes of what happens as they build their relationship, but it's not what this movie's about, so I don't think it would move the story forward. I think it's just filler. So we are now back at that city fountain in the daytime, a month later, as David performs the end of a song with Neil and Rose, sweat dripping off their faces, so now it's the summertime, as a few young folkies watch. So it's really in the summer now, probably I guess the hottest time in New York City is probably July. And you could put the superimposed 1 month later on the screen, just to let people know it's a month later. Shannon is dressed more like a genuine folkie now as she sits nearby on the lawn, her acoustic guitar in her lap as she writes something into her notepad and watches David perform. At the same time, a little bit farther away from the street, a woman's hand shuts the driver's side door of a shiny red 1960s Cadillac convertible. Now we're going to be introduced to Candace, the most beautiful, sultry 40-year-old woman you could ever imagine, beaming with confidence, like she runs things, all things. She casually smokes her cigar, tapping her long fingernails on the door, as she stares towards Shannon writing in her pad near the fountain across the street. And I'll mention, this is when the Nicole Kidman connection came in. I just pictured Nicole Kidman. I don't want to speak too much about it to ruin what this character would really be like. But that's what I picture in my head when I picture somebody like Candace, like this overly powerful woman who can just, snap her fingers and fuck shit up. Nicole Kidman just seems like that type of woman that, you don't want to get on her bad side or she'll fuck you up, man. But yeah, I'm sure she's a sweet lady. But yeah, she seems like a super powerful woman like that. And alright, so now we met Candace as she moves away from her Cadillac, smoking her cigar. She's staring at Shannon and David performing, and now she's walking towards them as David and his band finish the song. The few spectators around them are clapping very unenthusiastically, as a few also drop change into their open guitar cases and walk away. Neil speaks to the crowd. Thanks, everyone. If you didn't already know, we're the one, the only New York City Farm Plows. So please hang out and we'll play a few more songs in a bit. David wipes his sweat away from his brow and washes up with the water from the fountain. as Shannon walks over and sits next to him. Shannon, jokingly, "Not too shabby, but I don't know if you got what it takes to make it in this here big city." She kisses him. David, "Really now? That your expert advice?" It's probably better as that your expert opinion. So I'm kind of editing things as I go a couple times now. He kisses her. But this is what it would go like, right? In a table read with writers, they would give different perspectives, and that would make more sense. Yeah. David, "Really now? That your expert opinion?" He kisses her. David, "Find a job yet?" Shannon, "I've been looking." He's a non-believer. Shannon, insisting, "Really, I have been." He pulls her in closer and they share a longer kiss. As Candace walks towards them, sticking out like a sore thumb among the folkies and artists, she puffs on her cigar and stares towards them. Candace, "David?" They stop kissing and squint towards her, blocking the blinding sun with their arms. Candace, "So nice to see you still out here with the unwashed masses. It's noble, painfully sad, but noble." She eyes Shannon. Candace, "Who's the new girl?" David doesn't respond, hesitant to make eye contact, as Shannon holds out her hand. Shannon. Shannon. Candace smiles, gently shakes her hand, and sizes her up from head to toe. Candace, "I really do love your accent. You got yourself a genuine country singer here." "You got yourself a genuine country singer here, David?" He ignores her and pockets the change inside his guitar case as Shannon blushes. Shannon, "More of a singer-songwriter." Candace hands her a business card. Candace, "How about you play something for me then?" Shannon, nervous, "Haven't really practiced my songs yet too much." Candace cuts her off, puffing her cigar. Candace, "You don't need practice with a face like that." David picks up his guitar case and nudges Shannon away from her. David, "Just ignore her. She'll crawl back under her rock eventually." Candace, "Not in this outfit." Shannon opens her guitar case. Shannon, "Guess I can try to play one quick song." David grabs her arm and quickly guides her to a more private spot around the fountain. David, quietly, "There are some people you don't want to get involved with, and she's one of those people, okay? Trust me." She's not convinced, frees herself from his firm grip, and walks back towards Candace, sits down on the fountain edge with her guitar. Shannon, "This is one of the first songs I ever learned as a girl, from my mother." She plays a beautiful acoustic gospel ballad, and I recommend the song Rock of Ages. It's kind of been done by everybody. One of those country staples, gospel staples. And I think maybe there's a Gillian Wells connection. I forget if she does that song now. I think so. Rock of Ages. So yeah, she would sing that song. So yeah, it would be another minute worth of screen time as she does like a gospel, simple folk rendition of that. Recently, I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about Cool Hand Luke and how the best type of gospel music is bluegrass. It's just when you have a bluegrass version of like Plastic Jesus, or I don't even know if that's a gospel song, but A Closer Walk with Thee and other stuff. Like I kind of agree that the bluegrass type of feel to gospel music, even the Elvis Presley did How Great Thou Art album, and it's just banging. It's really good. I like that simple. Not that bluegrass is simple, man. They pick their asses off, and the harmonies are crazy. But yeah, bluegrass does gospel music so well. So I would recommend Rock of Ages. It's probably an old enough song that you don't need to get permission to perform a song like that. Alright, so anyway, during this performance, a large crowd starts forming around Shannon as Candace puffs her cigar, staring towards her like a predator eyeing her next prey. Candace finishes the performance as the crowd cheers, and her open guitar case gets filled with change. Candace, you're playing Leos tonight. Want to get a better look at you out of the sunlight. Shannon, tonight? What? I'm not ready. Candace walks closer to her. Candace, soft-spoken. You're ready, whether you know it or not. Candace slaps her ass and walks away, disappearing behind a haze of cigar smoke. Candace, things move fast here. Don't fall by the wayside. Alright, I'm going to take a break here. I'm over an hour because I had a long introduction to this story that I wanted to get out. So it's a good place to end this. We meet all the major characters within, I'm on page 17, 16? I'm on the bottom of page 16 right now. And we've met all the major characters. Shannon, the kind of innocent, wide-eyed country girl that's moving to the city in the late 60s to become a folk singer and begin a career in music. We got David, Neil, and Rose, the folk band, folkies that have probably been doing it for a decade with not much to show for it. And David's kind of the elder statesman of the group and one of the main characters here. Neil and Rose are kind of side characters. Rose especially, but Neil maybe has a little bit of a larger role in this. And then we meet Candace right there in that park scene, and she instantly is interested in Shannon. So we'll get more in touch with Candace's character as we continue into part 2. But yeah, is it hard for me to write female characters? I don't think so. I don't look at it like that. Yeah, to a degree, you have to separate dialogue if you're writing for a man or woman, but I don't know. Isn't it supposed to be like an equal thing where men and women are the same thing? And I know there's plenty of differences, so that's a vague way to put it. But I don't really notice it too much. Like, I never have to stop myself. Like, when I wrote for Candace, I'm never thinking in my head, like, well, a woman would never say that. You know, maybe if I had other writers helping me in a writer's room and or editing this, then they would think differently. But I would have to hear explanations to really be convinced. I don't think I have problem writing for a woman's point of view, because what is that? All women don't think the same way. There's bitchy women, there's overly sweet women, just like there's meathead men and abusive men, and then really wise men. Like, everyone's different. Your sex doesn't really equate to your personality. So I've never looked at it like that as a writer or just as a human being. You know, it's kind of weird because I mentioned this because I did change the characters in the beginning of this story when I first thought of it. And I'll try to find that paper. I wrote a paper with episode ideas, and for this one, I wrote a man moves to Greenwich Village to become a folk singer, and then he gets involved with the wrong people, and Candace's character is also a male in that version. And then as I thought about it more, I just kept picturing Nicole Kidman. I was like, fuck, I guess this is a sign that it's supposed to be a female. And I think it makes the story more interesting. I really do. Because I'll talk about it later when I get towards the end. I don't want to ruin stuff. Because I doubt anyone ever really read this. I'm hoping people will listen to my voice and not get annoyed by my voice and actually listen to me read these things like a podcast. This is a podcast I'm doing for every one of my screenplays. And hopefully it's more captivating than just somebody reading it, because maybe people in the screenwriting business, maybe they're used to a more professional type of appeal. Maybe I don't write exactly like everyone does in the screenplay. I don't think I'm that far off. I really don't, honestly, but it's hard to get people to read your stuff, basically, is what I'm trying to say there. It's very difficult. There's ways you could do it. You have to pay people to read your thing, read your screenplay for a couple $100. They give you feedback. And I've never really tried that besides some sites like Talentville, which was, decent, I guess. I talked about the Blacklist and how much of a ripoff that is. And I've entered contests and where they give you feedback on notes, but I don't think it really helps that much. If I was talking to myself, I'm not trying to hurt these businesses, but to be honest, it is a ripoff. I'll blatantly say the Blacklist is a huge ripoff. Absolutely. They're just trying to get money from people. I don't think they really, to a wide degree, I don't think they help people that much. The notes I've been giving were just really bad. And it's like a lot of money, more than a couple $100. So I'm more mad at myself for falling for stupid shit like that. So I need to network myself in other avenues, and I don't know how to, basically. I'm hoping that my voice is interesting enough and not grating as I read through this. You have to picture these characters in your head and kind of picture I'm talking in the same tone for everybody, because I'm not Hank Azaria, like I said in the first one. Hank Azaria does like 20 different characters on The Simpsons and other stuff. I can't do that. I'm not going to be able to do Candace's voice. Like, you're playing Leos tonight. I don't even know how to do like an accent like that. I don't know. She would have like a tough New York bitchy accent, kind of a cunty voice. But I say cunty, I just mean like a very, very strong, forceful woman who you don't want to fuck with. So that's my meaning of cunty at that point. And Candace, I don't know how to do these voices in different tones, and I can't do a female voice and make it believable, so I just don't do it. Alright, when I come back for part 2, we're going to continue with this journey as Shannon wants to become a successful folk singer in the 60s, late 60s in New York. We'll get more involved with Candace and what she has to do with this, and maybe I'll remember some other themes and issues, that I wanted to bring up. Because I wrote this, like I said, 3 years ago. It had to be about that, maybe even 4 now. And it's been a while since I've read this. You can go back in my Substack. I don't know if you can search for it, but you could search and read the script yourself if you choose to. Because that's how I first shared it. I just shared the script for free and said, hey, you want to read this? Go ahead. But I don't get a lot of people. There's basically 0 people that pay attention to these things. So whether I get more attention like this, it's still a good practice at least. But that's not my main intent. Would be like, I'm picturing myself like I was doing a table read, and I'm getting voices in my head as I'm reading through this. Good voices. I'm not going crazy, not yet. And the voices are telling me, you should edit that, or you should move these scenes around. Like I said earlier, I'll move those scenes around. And that's kind of what I would imagine a table read would be almost. Well, this would be more like the writer's room before the table read, when they're working out all the kinks of what would work better. So that's kind of what I am using this exercise as. So it's not exactly 100% polished of a script. But it's there, the story's there, the characters are there, the scenes are there. It just needs that final polish. And I'll see if that continues as I read farther on. Further on. All right. So I'll come back in maybe another hour or so and read another 20, 30 pages, and we'll see if I can finish this by the end of the day today. 'Cause it's already, what, 5 o'clock. But I'll see how this goes later.